So I haven't talked in front of a camera like this for a long time, so please bear with me while I get back into it. But anyway, hi! If this is your first time visiting my channel, my name is Jazz. I make music covers and sometimes original songs and vlogs every so often. Those are more rare. But also, I am asexual. And this week is actually Asexual Awareness Week, which not a lot of people know about, but I always like to sort of bring awareness to it when I can. And I came across this video, and I didn't know that an asexual tag existed, so I thought I would do one myself. I got the questions from this video as well. I might add a couple questions. But yeah, I hope that this will give you a little bit of insight into who I am, what asexuality is, and if you are an asexual person looking for people with similar experiences to you, then I hope that you get some help from this video. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so first question is, what is asexuality? Someone who is asexual, in the most general terms, is someone who does not experience sexual attraction to other people. It's not related to the want to have sex with someone, it's the attraction to a person. There are asexuals who, you know, do have sex with their partners, and there are some who don't, and there are some who are sort of indifferent about it, and that's fine. All those experiences are totally valid, and it doesn't really affect how you, like, whether or not you're allowed to call yourself asexual. What sexuality do you define as? So I'm just asexual, plain and simple. There's a spectrum of identities on the asexual scale, but I fall on the just asexual. Romantic orientation is something different, and I'm still figuring that out, but yeah, for now, just plain asexual. How long have you known that you are asexual? I have a hard time remembering like how old I was when I first figured this out. It was early high school, I think. Maybe I was like a sophomore, so 15, 16, which would be 3 or 4 years ago. So I was talking to my sister about how I don't really see people as people I want to have sex with, or people I want to, I don't know. I don't remember the specifics of the conversation, but she suggested to me that I might be asexual. And I went home and I actually spent a very, very long time, and by that I mean like months, researching and looking up videos on definitions, and found some documentaries even about asexuality and what it is and the different experiences that people have. I think I started identifying as asexual, it was 2016, I think. Yeah, so like 2 years-ish. I remember this because I came out to my friends during a summer gathering that we always have. It was received quite well, I think. Some people were a bit confused, which I feel is pretty common when people come out as asexual. I've gotten a lot of different responses to being asexual, but right now I think that most of my friends embrace it, which is really nice to me, so yay. What is something you hope to change about the way the world perceives asexuality? The way the world perceives relationships is that, well, not the entire world, of course, generalizing here. Generally the way the world perceives relationships is that sex is a very important part of whether or not a relationship survives. I think that a lot of times people don't seem to accept the idea of an asexual dating I believe they're called allosexuals, people who aren't asexual. I think that people equate having sex with being happy in a relationship, which is really harmful. There are plenty of relationships that are healthy and, you know, have survived for a long time where people, you know, don't have sex. So I think that the one thing I would change about the way the world perceives asexuality is that more like the way that people perceive sex in general, that it's so like important and such a important part of what makes us human, I guess. I mean, obviously reproduction is a thing, but when it comes to the survival of a relationship, then it's not that important. I think. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I think that it's kind of harmful to assume that an asexual in a relationship with someone who isn't asexual is like depriving their partner of something, when really it shouldn't be all about the sex. Are you a proud asexual? Yeah, I think I am. I've come a long way in that regard. I think that sadly, the most common thing that, you know, asexuals experience in beginning to explore their sexuality is the feeling of something being wrong with them, something being broken because they don't want to engage in sexual activity. And that was something that I experienced, definitely. But yeah, I'm definitely proud of who I am. I wouldn't change for anybody. I wouldn't compromise my comfort and my identity just for someone else. Yeah, I am proud to be asexual, and I am proud of the person that I am. What's the best thing about being asexual? I think, well, what first comes to mind is funny because I've never been in a relationship, but the idea of getting into a relationship and knowing that the person I'm dating wouldn't only be in it for, you know, my looks or my body or whatever. Of course, I'm not saying that sex in some way makes a relationship superficial. It's just that I think I would feel that if I were to get in a relationship with someone and they knew I was asexual, or I told them I was asexual and they were like, okay, fine, like that's something we can work around, then I would know for sure that the person that I'm with, you know, isn't just in it for sex. Because I think that loving a person's mind and loving a person's spirit is so much more important than loving their body. And the flip side of that, what's the worst thing about being asexual? Okay, I've thought a lot about this question. So there's a concept, whatever you want to call it, called gatekeeping. People in certain communities think that they have the authority or the position to tell a person that they don't belong there. I would never assume that I am part of the LGBT community because it's something that's so widely debated that if I say one thing or the other, then I always feel like I'm wrong, simply because of the people who are so adamant that, oh, we accept you, just not in here, go somewhere else and we'll love you there. I do love Pride Month because I love like the love and acceptance that comes out of it, but as an asexual it's kind of scary, like not knowing whether it's okay to express who you are and not knowing whether you'll be harassed for it. Like, to actually answer the question, the worst part I think of being asexual is having people tell you that your sexuality doesn't exist or it isn't valid or it's okay, just not in certain spaces. What advice would you give someone who is coming to terms with their asexuality? My advice, I think, would be to take your time with it. Like, to take your time just getting to know yourself. If you're experiencing something and if you find a label that you identify with, then no one should be allowed to take that away from you, and you shouldn't have to let them try and take that away from you. If people tell you that you aren't or that you shouldn't be who you are, then they don't really matter, honestly. It's hard to say and it's hard to come to terms with, but if someone is telling you that your identity is fake, because that's a big thing that people who are asexual are told. Like, people will say awful things about asexuals, like they will say that they're sick or they'll say that they're not human. They don't know you, they don't know your experience, and the most important thing is the people who do accept you and that you learn to accept yourself. So if you're struggling with that, there are so many communities online. I always really enjoy finding the asexual community within another like fandom or community or something. Like, I'm part of this like huge like a Discord chat of asexual people who are Thomas Sanders fans, and I've made a lot of great friends through there. So find people who you identify with and find people who accept you for who you are. The rest will fall into place when it's ready to. You'll be okay. You're not broken. So that's all the questions. Just as some parting words for anyone who might have clicked on this video looking for some guidance, I hope that I've been able to answer a couple questions that you might have had. Of course, you're welcome to leave anything in the comments, you know, talk about your experience, ask any questions. I can try to answer them. You are still as human and as whole and as complete as you would have been if you weren't asexual. I think it's totally silly to base someone's validity as a human and as a partner, as a person, based on like whether or not they like having sex. If you want to see me making any more videos on asexuality, then please let me know in the comments. And you can click subscribe down there, or you can check out my other videos over here. And thank you guys so much for being here and for watching and for being exactly who you are. So I wish you the best, and I will see you next week. Bye.